we can start by closing our eyes. And as always, just during this moment, just during this specific undertaking, we rest our creativity. That does not mean that there is anything wrong with creativity. It's maybe the most beautiful part of the human mind, I would say. Yet, in some occasions, it's not the best tool. So, to discover what is real right now, we don't need our creativity. So we can relax that function of our mind. Let's not make things up. That's a very easy task. Just don't pretend. Even my son knows this very well right now. He says, let's pretend, he sends a lot of the time. And now I say the opposite. Let's not pretending for a while. That's one of our missions today. Let's not pretend. Let's not make anything up. Let's not add anything to this moment, even things that we believe are not made up. For example, the idea of gravity. Let's not add it. If it's here, it's here. We sense it, but let's not add it. So add no labels. Add no understanding, no association. And just relax. And if things happen by themselves, if your mind labels a sensation in your body or draws some conclusions, just see that as a happening, like a wind or a leaf falling. It doesn't matter. That's just what the mind did. We don't fight with that. We don't judge. We don't even label that. What else can we stop doing? Well, expecting and waiting is an unnecessary waste of energy when we're going to explore existence. So you can allow those functions, if they are active, to relax too. If those apps are running, if you are waiting for anything, hoping for anything, expecting anything in your system, as much as you can, allow them to relax. So far, we haven't done anything. We're just stopping some very typical activities that normally is going on in our energy, in our experience, in our body, and in our mind. So let's go on then. When we don't add or label or associate, where we don't control or wait or push, the first thing we can notice is that there is still a reality going on. Even if we don't label it, even if we don't judge it, something is happening. There is some sort of existence appearing. That seems kind of self-obvious, that there is an existence in which we are doing an inquiry or exercise or a meditation. So far, without us adding anything to this moment, we see that this moment or this existence is still here. So that seems not made up. That part is not imaginary. There is existence. There is something happening. Now, how do we know that? Well, we experience it. We are conscious of existence. So once again, even if existence has no labels right now, and we are not creating any story, we are not adding things, we still are conscious of existence. There is existence and a consciousness of it. Notice that for yourself. These parts are not made up. There is a happening and a consciousness of it. So just notice, whatever this happening is, if you're touching your face or if you're feeling discomfort, whatever the happening is, just notice that in the simplest form, there is this happening and the knowing of it, the experiencing of it. Now let's look at the happening to start with. What is really happening? And what do we know about it? What is not made up? What is the reality of the happening? We can say, what do we know for sure about the happening? Well, if we are honest, we don't know where it comes from, why it happens, but we know what we experience right now. We know if there is sounds, we know taste or lack of taste. We know body sensations, a whole range of them. We know vision, smell, we know energetic movements, tiredness, emotions. Again, a whole range of them. And we know a whole field of mental activity, stemming from subtle beliefs, thoughts, concepts, language. All of these things are what is happening. Everything I just mentioned is the happening of now. Look for yourself. That in reality, everything you know for sure. So I'm not asking about what do you believe about life? Do you believe in reincarnation, or do you believe in some conspiracy, or I'm not asking about your conclusions regarding life. I'm asking about what you know with 100% certainty. And that is what you experience now. So during this meditation, that is the only thing that qualifies as reality. And what you know about reality is what you sense, your emotions, and your thoughts. Confirm this for yourself. Once again, you cannot confirm this by thinking about it, but you can look right now. That what you know right now is a stream of perceptions, thoughts, emotions. And there is nothing you can really find besides this. It's not that it's a small realm, but yet it is all the elements. Right now, a stream of perceptions, taste and smell, vision, hearing, whole vast realm of body sensations. Everything colored by an emotional state and narrated by thoughts. That is what's happening. So, if we take this to be reality, if we make a pledge to not make anything up during this session, let's see what we can and cannot find in this reality. What is real and what is not. So, is there in this reality any story, any one objective story going on? Your mind can add one, can create one, can receive one from another mind. Yet, if we relax the mind, life still goes on with no story. So there is no inherent story to this experience. Yet it is open to interpretation. Every mind can make up infinite stories regarding this underlying happening. But in itself, this moment, the sounds, the taste, the play, the beauty, the pain, all of it comes with no story by itself. Is there a good and a bad? Is there a sound that is bad and another sound that is good? Is there a reaction that is bad and a reaction that is good? If we don't imagine that, is there an evil? And if you honestly and genuinely look at your current experience, if you don't add imagination, you'll see that the answer is no. There is the reality of this happening. And again, we can imagine good or bad, can categorize, and we can react to our imagination, to our game. But whenever we truly look back at existence the way it is expressing itself, it doesn't come with good or bad, or with evil and light. Let's now take this to an even more interesting level. Is there a thinker thinking the thoughts? Or is thoughts just happening? In this stream of happenings and colors and shapes, and where all these thoughts come and go, is there some entity starting them? Is there an entity behind the will? So let's say some will come up, a want, a desire, an attraction, a resistance, some kind of will, energetic movement comes up. Is there a separate entity there creating it? Is there any separation at all? Because you can see that your thoughts, when they happen, they can create a desire, or your desire can create a thought that can then create an action that can then create music. Yet, where did all that begin? Who created that desire that then created a thought that then created an action that then created music? Where does all these movements and thoughts come from? Don't pretend you don't know, because you're looking at it right now. It is not hiding. So I will ask you once again. You do experience thoughts. There is perceptions, there is feelings, there is will, there is movement, there is attraction, repulsion. Yet, is there an entity in there that is a victim, or the thinker, or the enjoyer, or the driving force? Is there a separate entity in there anywhere? Do you find one? So once again, I'm not asking if you feel an energy in your body. That is, of course, yes, but that is a sensation. I'm not asking if you can imagine some wispy thing. That's an imagination, that's an image. But if you look now in the stream of all these happenings, in the stream of this appearing moment, where does the thoughts come from? Where does the will come from? Well, from the same place as everything else is the answer. And why is this interesting? Because the ego, our imaginary self, is based on the idea that there is a separating line between it and everything else. That there is things I do and there is things happening to me. There is a defined line between me and not me in the idea which the ego is based on. I'm a victim of this, I'm a victim of that, but this I chose and this is my doing. This I'm proud of, but that's poor me. But when we ask, when we truly look, just honestly look, who are you choosing and what do you choose? Do you choose the language you think in? Do you choose the universe you experience? Do you even exist? If you look. And something exists. Something very essential do exist right now. Something is aware of this moment, conscious, alive, real. But this something is not a separate entity. It's not a line between me and other. It's not the thinker of thoughts. It's not the victim of happenings. It's not attached to desires. Yet it is real. So let's look. Let's look at you, the real you, not the imaginary one, made of imaginary borders of me and not me. Let's look at the real you, the one experiencing this moment. What do you then find? What is the place which my sound, my voice enter or is being heard by? What is you that knows existence? You're here. You're aware of existence. You're aware of this appearance of now. You're aware of this whole stream of happenings. Yet what do we know about you? Well, we know you're here. But are you starting the thoughts? Oh, they're just appearing. Are you doing the colors? Or the lack of them? No. Are you a victim of what happens, of what I say, or what the body feels like, or what thoughts come and doesn't come? No. Are you even a thing in time and space that we can find? Are you somewhere lurking, hiding? No. Yet you're here, experiencing this moment. So this being, which we can't name or color or twist or bend or age or even perceive or imagine, this being is you. This being is I. The knowing, the awareness of this existence, this moment. You are the reality. You are the underlying source in which this moment happens. Look for yourself. Mm. And as we are looking now, we can shift our attention slowly back towards the happenings. And still the same existence is here. There's still sounds, thoughts come and they go, emotions, desires, interpretations, creativity. And then there is, let's say, the function to create something out of that, almost like Play-Doh. There is this simple moment in which you are an indescribable eternal being experiencing an ever-changing something. And there is the opportunity to imagine, to create, to make an interpretation, to tell yourself a story, to narrate. And when you start doing that, you will lend your reality, you, the invisible nothingness, everythingness, your reality you will lend to whatever you imagine. Just like in the nightly dreams, you lend the reality of you to the avatar in your nightly dreams. And it seems real. And you feel affected by the dream. The story, the adventure, the discoveries, the play, the love affects you until you realize it didn't. Here, you are also free to lend the reality of your source, to create a saga, a story, or many. And when you narrate that story, when you say, I am this or I am that, this happened to me and this should not happen, when you narrate that and you believe it, it will feel real because you lend your reality to it. Just like when you're reading a book. If you give your belief and attention and energy to that book and its content, you'll pour your reality, the source of you, which is reality, into that experience. And it seems real and wonderful and amazing until you stop and nothing happened. Now this meditation reveals the same situation now. It brings you a break. Are you really that story you're telling in your head? Are you that person? Are you that role? The reality of everything will remain. If there is hunger, there is hunger. If there is movement, there is movement. If there is visions, thoughts. But does the story survive reality? The story of me. So you see, what's going on is very simple, yet very vast, very magical, very unexplained, very infinite. But then there is the freedom, let's say, and there is the potential to create make-believe, to play games, to create sagas and stories. And that is, if you remember from childhood, the most beautiful part. You can go into any game because you come from nothing. You come as nothing, and therefore you can be a fire truck and a princess and a horse and a piece of Lego within 1 minute. You can be anything and nothing. And it doesn't matter that you have a human body attached to you, your experience. You can still be anything. You still know you are nothing. But as one of these narrations seem too real, when one of the stories we tell ourselves becomes what we truly believe, becomes what we think we are, essentially, we create friction. We create separation. We suddenly forget our common source, that we are all that playful energy. We are all that full of potential awareness that can go into everything, and we know each other. But when we take one of the games to be our reality, one of the stories, one of the narrations to be our source, we go blind. We're also called asleep. We forget the one thing. So now then, I'm still talking to you. And if you feel like, you can allow your human's eyes to open. And that will did not come from a separate you. It came together with this session, together with my telling that you should open your eyes. And even I didn't choose to say that. There is no separate me in here, choosing what to say in these sessions. There is life doing this moment. If you want, you can imagine that you're separate from it, that you're a separate entity with a separate will. That's one of the games you can believe and put all your energy. And it might be fun. But you could also try out, even though it's a very trendy game to play that thing, you can try out not imagine that you're separate. You can try out how it feels to feel that life is doing you and not you as a separate thing trying to accomplish life. You can see that life has a hand up your ass playing you, creating your emotions and your thoughts, your reactions, your stories. Again, you're free to conjure up and animate and imagine that some thoughts are yours and some things are yours and you are an entity encapsulated in something. You can imagine all of that. But see what it makes you feel. See what it makes you to long for. Be awake to the games you play. I don't say stop playing, but see what they do.